Support Narativ's independent journalism at patreon.com/narrative and check out our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe and download.
I have no idea what happened there, but somehow we stopped. Maybe someone didn't like my analogy. I'm going to pick it up and we'll put it all together in a podcast, which will be well edited later on. However, this stream also looks to me like it's a little bit weaker than normal. So wish us luck as we get through this. I was just telling you about that travel ban that yesterday Trump decided to institute against Europeans. Now, it's not very likely that the Europeans are going to be coming here to infect Americans than it is for Americans to be going over there to entrap them. And I say that because comparatively, we're just a little less infectious, at least officially, than Europeans are right now. But there are some important things we have to take away from the way Donald Trump has handled this entire fiasco. The first is the complete and utter failure in testing, and we'll get to that in a second. The second is the fact that we've just underestimated the whole thing. Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is leading I'm coughing a little bit here. 1 second. Who's leading Donald Trump's effort to fight the coronavirus, said this week that coronavirus is 10 times more fatal than the flu. Just think about it, 10 times more fatal than the flu. Add to that the fact that we already know that for every infection of coronavirus, you will infect 2.2 other people. In other words, if you're infected or I'm infected today with coronavirus, by next week, 2.2 people will be infected by me or you. Now, the following week, it's another 2.2 people of your 2.2 people. So you can see how exponentially this thing just spreads like wildfire. In fact, the spreading of it is the most important thing that we can do to try and stop it. There are really only three things at our disposal that we can use to fight coronavirus. The first is testing. And by any accounts, America's just failed this. I don't understand how America is the only country on the planet not to be able to get this idea of testing done easily and quickly. I mean, it's just shocking to me that we've been trying for months and months to develop a test. We can't seem to get it right. And even if we could get it right, we have no idea how to distribute it. So all the facts and figures we have today about coronavirus, we just don't know if they're true. But let's go back to that list. There's testing, then there's social distancing. I'm going to talk a lot about that today. And the third option is the vaccine. Now, that's not likely to happen because guess what? The vaccine's about a year away. So when you look at these three options, testing hasn't worked out for us. Social distancing is the only thing we have. And the vaccine is too far away to count on it. So let's take into account what we know about the coronavirus today. We think that there are about 1,000 people in the United States who have confirmed coronavirus cases. That's the official number. It's also likely completely inaccurate. Now, I know people keep saying on TV there are thousands of people in the United States right now who have contracted, maybe even recovered from coronavirus and who are out there spreading it. And we just don't know how many because we haven't been finding them or testing them. But look at what happened in Wuhan province. This is where the original outbreak happened, in Wuhan in China. When on January 22nd, the official number of people who have contracted coronavirus was 547. But the unofficial, this is an estimate based on modeling by scientists at the University of Leicester, that the actual number was 11,000 to 33,000. Look at that gap, 547 official to 11,000 to 33,000, which was the actual number of people who'd contracted the virus. And then look what happened the following week. Not only had that number shot up from 547 to 11,200, look at that jump, it's insane. But the unofficial number had also jumped up. This is the modeled number that people believe was the actual number of people infected. 88,000 were infected. And this is in Wuhan, in China, where this whole thing began. Now, for whatever reason, governments like to underreport, undertell you, lie, call it whatever you want, but they don't like to tell you the full story of how many people are infected, or maybe they just didn't know. But when you look at that gap, you can tell that probably in the United States right now, where we have 1,000 official cases, we probably have somewhere in between 33,000 and 88,000 people who are in the United States right now, contagious and spreading the disease. That is a lot to take in. I know it's not something we do, in anyone's mind you want to think about too much, but it's just the reality of how much this thing has already begun to spread. So we've had those three options. We've had the options of testing. That hasn't worked. We've had the option of a vaccine. We're waiting for that. We'll wait for that to happen. The only thing we have left is social distancing. Now, what is social distancing? You've probably heard about it a million times, but not known what it is. Officially, social distancing is this: school closures, you stay at home and work from home, and also you ban large-scale gatherings of more than 200 to 500 people. These are the things, the only things we have right now to fight this disease. Now, you could say, well, we could wait a week. Let's wait a week before we close the schools, or 2 weeks, because we still have things to do. Every day in this crisis matters so much. And here's why. If you look at the actual numbers, let's look at the Narativ tracker this week. This is the number of people currently, this is today's numbers, in the United States. There's 1,323 people confirmed with the coronavirus, 38 deaths. In Italy, this is an incredible number. This is just released a few minutes ago. 15,000 people have been confirmed, and they've crossed over 1,000 deaths. That is not what it was just a few days ago. China looks like it's actually flattened out and might be past its peak, but on a global level, we're still seeing an incredible increase every day of the number of people who are contracting coronavirus and the number of people that are dying. So that's today. That's today. We can do this because we got the Narativ tracker. I am going to go back to February 25th, just over 2.5 weeks ago. Guess what it looked like 2.5 weeks ago? 2.5 weeks ago, on February 25th, in the United States, there were 53 confirmed cases of coronavirus and 0 deaths. In Italy, there were 229 confirmed cases and 6 deaths. What happened in those 2 weeks? It's absolutely stunning when you look at the exponential growth that has happened. We'll go back to today's numbers quickly here and look again. Confirmed 1,323 for the United States with 38 deaths. We had 0 2 weeks ago. And in Italy, it went from 6 to 1,000 deaths. That is an astonishing set of statistics, and really does make you wake up to every second matters in this particular crisis. So again, in just 2 weeks, between February 25th and March 12th, there have been over 12,000 new confirmed cases in Italy and 821 deaths. In the United States, there have been 1,270 confirmed cases and 38 deaths. So where are we going? Are we going to be where Italy is currently in 2 weeks from now? It's very, very likely. Now, it is interesting that Italy seems to have a higher death rate than almost anyone else on the planet because of this. I'm not sure why, but as you can see here, they sort of, they top out at around 6% in terms of the number of, the ratio of number of people who die. That's much higher than the rest of the world, which is at about 3.5% or even lower. But the thing that they're discovering most in Italy is that the battle lines of all of this is going to be about hospitals. Now, I want to share with you, if you will let me, a look at what happened in Katrina again with the Superdrome.
Many residents are stranded on rooftops, desperate to be rescued.
It's really hard to do, and I'm noticing some of our streams restarted there as well, so I apologize for that. The thing to think about them is their isolation is really important over the next couple of months. And there are some real practical things you can do. The worst thing you can do is just ignore them, is like just not show up and see them at all. The best things you can do is ensure that they get groceries delivered on a regular basis, that they get meals delivered. And maybe you're not there all the time to see them in person, but you can do FaceTime calls or video calls or social calls. Don't neglect them just because they're in this high risk group, but take their health extremely seriously. One final thing for you to share here. If you do contract coronavirus, you'll probably have contracted the disease 5 days before you had symptoms. So that's an important number. It's 5 days before your symptoms develop. Think about who it was that might have given you this particular virus. If you do find yourself developing the symptoms of coronavirus, and I'll go through those in a second, self-isolate for 14 days. Always call your facility, your healthcare facility, your ER, your doctor's office before you go, and take those precautions for the elderly. Finally, these are the symptoms: 87% fever, 68% dry cough. These are people reporting these. 38% fatigue, 18% difficulty breathing. Those are the things to watch for. If you're showing all those symptoms and you've been in touch with someone who has coronavirus, which maybe is everybody by now, it's time to go see your doctor. Call before you go and figure it out. I'm going to end the show here because honestly, I'm too unwell to do it, but I wanted to get something up because there's so much important information here. I'm sure it'll edit into something much more watchable, and I'll have that up as a podcast in the next couple of days. And we'll do more this weekend, hopefully, on coronavirus, because this was just our get to know you episode.